Today I'm reacting to Chainsaw Man Episode 9. The next 3 episodes and full reaction are on Patreon. So I take it that Himeno really did die in the last episode. Though I still very much have my doubts about Hikama-san because we only got that one shot of her, so I don't know. I love it when we get like real emotion out of shows that can also be very funny and dark. Okay. And just the eye patch. Okay, what's happening next? With Denji too, I take it. Is Denji going to battle? Or what exactly is going to happen? Oh, love that bass coming in. This is so enthralling. I'm gonna miss watching this opening animation. It's just absolutely fantastic. Sawatari, that's her name. It's so cool how everything just changed in one day. Even the visual motif of having the sword versus the chainsaw looks really, really cool. That voice actor is so good, the like chesty voice. Love that breakbeat in the background. Whoa. Clever. Denji's very clever. Whoa. Is there going to be a guy behind Denji to take him out? Yeah, and it's a sword guy. Didn't expect that. That music happening in the background is so good. That was a lot. That was a very intense sequence. Oh. Is she definitely gone? Knew it. Knew it. Knew it. She's too well designed as a character to die that easily. Nice to see where your heart is. This our guy? No. Love the expression. Excuse me? I'm confused. I gotta say as well, I love all the, like, because we're exploring so much of Japan, I love all the scenery that we're getting. Are they going to lob convicts off the top of the temple? I noticed that 2 episodes ago as well. I love how polite Makina is. Loving this use of silence. I've said that in a couple of episodes. I love how they use silence in this show. It's really, really strong. So, what are we going to get with these convicts? I'm so intrigued. I understand the manga is a good bit ahead, so it could be frustrating for manga readers to watch this, but personally, I love the pacing. Like, just look at how deliberate we're getting all these movements after the huge intense fight sequence earlier. What is on the way? This is what I'm talking about. Having things be so slow paced for the last 5 minutes makes moments like this really work. And this electronic music coming in as well, perfect. Did she transform the convicts into birds or something? I remembered that shot from the trailer. Interesting. Very, very interesting. The close-up on the lips is perfect. Oh my god, that hand twisting there. The animation is perfect. Oh, I'm so glad they waited this long to give us the reveal of what her devil contract is. That music happening in the background is amazing. I'm so glad I didn't get any of this show spoiled for me before watching, because this reveal is beyond words. This is why I have a reaction channel. This is why I love doing what I do. That was so intense. Oh, that was so creepy. I'm curious as to why Makima didn't kill these two, though. Wonder what's happening there. But don't tell me. Love that. Even the shallow focus there in the foreground, brilliant. Is this our girl? This episode is insane. Yes, the payoff. I find it so interesting in this world how there's, like, for lack of a better term, superpowers, but then guns as well. It's okay, it's fine, it's fine. Things were different. I'm so sorry I forget your name, but I want to protect you right now. Oh. Truly the best girl. Yeah. Janakata. Oh, look at that shot. All the blood in the foreground. That sunset over the night. Oh my god, I'm making that my wallpaper. Perfect.
生きててよかった。特異1課、2課、3課、4課、ともに銃撃に遭い、人外以外はほとんど全員死にました。銃の悪魔が関わっているだろうね。上から通達です。人員不足のため、
We even got the exposition in one of the first episodes that Makima knew that their days were numbered.
マキマさんの指揮下に置きます。あとこれを。何？僕の辞表です。辞めるか殺されるかの二択ですよ。そう。マキマさんは今回の事態をどこまで想定していましたか？
I'm interested about that too.
一般市民に公安の内部事情を教えられないな。今までありがとう。これ渡しておくね。
Having Makima be several steps ahead in a way that feels very earned is something I really like.
マキマさん、俺たち得意科に入るわけやないですからね。
残念。東京は美味しいお店がたくさんあるのに。
Okay, so there is quite a lot to talk about there. First of all, I want to say that this is by far my favorite episode of Chainsaw Man so far, and I am going to get into the reasons why in just a second. I want to quickly clarify just what I was saying towards the end of the reaction when I was talking about how I find Makima's character is very justified. What I mean by that is that in storytelling, and I'm sure if you're watching this, you've watched a lot of anime and just TV and film in general. In storytelling, when you have this seemingly highly intellectual character who seems to always be 3 steps ahead of the game, it can be very risky for an audience to still relate to them and to still be able to find what they're doing to truly be very intriguing. Just as a result of, well, if a character is so far ahead, then it can be quite immersion breaking, because then at any point you don't really know if they really are in danger or this is all just part of their plan. I can just immediately think of the way the character of Bran was treated in the last 2 to 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, where, you know, you never felt like he was in any tangible sense of danger, because it's like, well, this is all part of what he had planned anyway. And I understand that from a genre perspective, Chainsaw Man is very, very different from that, in that this does have, for lack of a better term, superpowers, but it's still grounded in a particular type of realism / reality, because we have the likes of guns and we have the likes of bureaus and bureaucracy for that reason. That when Makima says she's 3 steps ahead, it's still within the confines of logistics and pragmatism. What I'm trying to get at here is the reason why, so far anyway, the character of Makima doesn't break immersion for me is because we still see that even though she is very stoic, she seems to there still seems to be stakes involved with what's happening with her. There still seems to be a tangible sense of her wanting one thing but still losing out on it. Whilst everything does seem to have gone according to plan for her, the fact that she's going out of her way to care so much for the people around her, it shows that she's a character that is 3-dimensional, in the sense that it isn't just her being a superpower or like this mastermind. To whatever degree that she does have a plan and she is a genius, for lack of a better word, we're still getting these aspects of stakes for her and vulnerabilities for her and just general personal goals. So for that particular perspective, that's why the character of Makima works so well with me. So that being said, to speak about the episode generally, I absolutely loved it. I really, really loved it. Like this, as I said within the reaction itself, it's episodes like these that make me happy that I've started a reaction channel, because, you know, it's so interesting to see a show paced like this, because they really seem to just be marching by the beat of their own drum. They are very aware that they are taking their time and being very deliberate with how they're putting out these plot events. The fact that we had like 2.5 episodes dedicated to the Hotel Eternity Devil storyline, and then so much of the previous episode just to do with the character enforcement and the world building with Himeno, and it ends in this very dramatic sequence. And of course this episode opens with a big dramatic sequence. We have a significant amount of the episode being lull time, only for it to come back at us with like the most climactic, action-packed sequence we've ever had in the show before. The reason why it works so well for me is because it feels like a very tangible, unpredictable world, which is what reality is for us in real life. We really don't know what's coming around the corner, no matter how peaceful our lives are. It shows that, we're able to get these moments where they're hanging out in the bar, and the most dramatic thing that happens is Himeno vomiting into Denji's mouth. And then, just 2 to 3 episodes later, we get the majority of our bureau completely wiped out, as well as so many of the Gun Devil's henchmen wiped out as well. It works for me in the sense that I wasn't quite sure what way the show was going to go within the first 3 episodes. You might remember me saying in my reviews that I wasn't sure how much of this show was going to be based on giving us explication with regards to Denji's character arc, or if they're going to go more in a overall world building, character building point of view, in that it's not necessarily like slice of life or anything like that, because that's more to do with tone, but it's more that Chainsaw Man is encompassing the entire world in a way that, yes, we still have the anchor points of a main character, but given the fact that Denji wasn't even really in the episode that much, we can see that from these first 9 episodes that I've watched, and I have no idea where the manga is going to go, and nor do I want to know, so don't tell me. But from these 9 episodes, we can see that the story is very much concerned with giving us these depictions of the overall world. Like the fact that we have so much of the backstory and storytelling to do with Himeno, and then she just dies. We have this introduction of the Fiend, but then we haven't actually seen her that much, and she has been used more so as kind of a comic relief character, which took me by surprise in a very interesting way. We had the character of, I had to look up Kobeni. I had to look up her name because I'd forgotten. We had a character of Kobeni who had her like little mini arc of this very kind of unhinged character, this very vulnerable character, and then like what that tells us about the world as well. I gotta say, just overall, with a show like Chainsaw Man, I've never really seen anything like this before. This is a very, very strange comparison I'm about to make, but it almost kind of reminds me a bit of Breaking Bad, in the sense of I'm thinking directly of season 2, which of course had its quite dark moments, but also had very comedic moments. And it had so much of the story, of course, following the protagonist, but then it also had the world building with the more miscellaneous characters, with the supporting characters being given a tangible sense of space as well. I'm even just thinking, for those who have watched the show Breaking Bad, the ATM episode, where we're introduced to these 2 characters who we don't then see again, but how the depiction of them adds to the mosaic of this overall world created in the 2nd season of that show, where there's a real sense of freedom, in the sense that when time is being taken away from following the protagonist, you don't necessarily feel as though you're losing out on anything. So I don't want to go on for too long with this review. I kind of do want to push on forward and watch the last 3 episodes today. But overall, I don't necessarily think there's even that much of a tangible point for me to talk about the plot details of what's happening here. I think because we are kind of gearing up for like the big 3 episodes here, for what's going to happen with this being the type of show it is, it would make more sense to just kind of push on and watch what's going to happen. But I did just want to use this review to say that I'm absolutely loving this show. And as I said in the reaction, I'm so glad that I didn't know anything about this show before going into it at all. I didn't even know how particularly good it was going to be. I knew it was quite well received and quite popular, but I didn't know anything else. It just feels so different. It feels different as a result of it using so much of what's familiar, but just doing it in a bit of a different way. It's like, it's just a recipe I wouldn't have taught before. It's like having seafood pizza or something like that. It's here's two things that I quite like, and I wouldn't necessarily have jumped at the idea of putting them together, but it works really, really well. And especially with that unpredictability factor. The unpredictability, I just think it's a show that has its cake and eats it too, in the sense that we're able to get these moments of humor, we're able to get these moments of gore and almost horror, we're able to get these moments of mystery, but alongside that, we're also able to get these moments of emotional catharsis for the characters. We're able to get these, especially all these establishing shots of the world and the scenery around it, as I mentioned, with all the shots of Japan and that kind of thing. I think you wouldn't necessarily guess it from the fact that this is a show called Chainsaw Man, about a man with chainsaws on his arm and head and people puking into each other's mouths and quite lowbrow humor from time to time. So you wouldn't necessarily think that this is right off the bat a mature show, but it kind of, when you take a step back and you look at the whole cohesive picture, I would, in a lot of ways, describe this as one of the most mature animes that I've seen. Not necessarily for the subject matter or what's being depicted, but the approach to doing those things is something that I am extremely impressed by. And with that, I think I'm going to leave the review there and move on and watch the next 3 episodes. So if you've watched this entire reaction, I want to thank you so much for your support. Whether you're supporting me on Patreon or just here on YouTube, either way, I am so grateful for you taking a chance with me and taking the time to watch this video. So I'm going to leave it there. Arigatou gozaimasu. Thanks for watching.